Magnetic phrases that instantly attract women, backed by psychology, modern Stoic. Speak so that others love to listen to you. Listen so that others love to speak to you. Epictetus. Let me share a truth most men never grasp. Attraction isn't about towering height, flashy status, or sculpted looks. It's not the sports car, the suit, or the smooth one-liner. It's something far more subtle and far more powerful. It's the words you speak and how they make her feel. While countless men stumble through bland, forgettable small talk, others spark real connection, sometimes within moments, using just a few psychologically charged phrases. Phrases that trigger curiosity, laughter, and that unmistakable spark. What separates the forgettable from the magnetic? Modern psychology. Over the past decade, I've coached thousands of men and I've studied countless real-life interactions. Again and again, I've seen how just 3 simple phrases can flip the switch from casual to captivating. These aren't pickup lines. They're not tricks. They're psychological triggers based on research from institutions like Harvard and Stanford, field-tested by hundreds of my clients, and grounded in timeless Stoic wisdom about presence, clarity, and self-command. One phrase makes you up to 83% more memorable, according to UCLA researchers. Another creates instant emotional intimacy. And the third? It's my personal favourite, able to spark chemistry in under 30 seconds. And the best part? You can use them tonight. Let's talk about that moment when something clicks in a conversation, when her tone softens, when her eyes brighten, when her posture shifts towards you, and something unspoken passes between you both. That's not luck. That's the science of connection, in action. I'm John from Stoic Focus. And if you've ever wondered how some men create that kind of magnetic presence without effort or artifice, this is for you. Because most men focus on what to say to impress women. But the ones who succeed, they focus on how to make women feel seen, understood, and drawn in. These 3 phrases don't just sound good, they feel right. They bypass the surface and speak to something deeper. Emotional resonance. Whether you're in a coffee shop, on a first date, or striking up a conversation at work, you'll walk away from this with practical tools to change how women experience you. No games, no gimmicks, just real connection, rooted in psychology, sharpened by Stoic presence, and ready to use. Stay tuned. I'm about to break it all down for you. Phrase 1. The curiosity trigger, the unfinished thought. Never think that attracting a woman requires tricks or manipulation. Think like a modern Stoic, a man who knows the power of calm presence, sharp observation, and meaningful expression. There's something strange, yet deeply human, about how our minds work. When someone starts to say something but stops midway, our brain can't help but chase the rest. It's not a trick. It's psychology. That's the curiosity trigger, the unfinished thought that leaves a door slightly open in her mind. And you, as a man who lives by the blessing of Stoicism, must know how to walk through it with quiet confidence. Picture this. She's telling you about her passion for restoring old furniture, or how she once lived in Bali for 6 months. You look at her, intrigued, and say casually, "You remind me of..." Never mind. It's nothing. Or maybe, "There's something about the way you said that. It just made me think..." Forget it. Say it like it just slipped out, no performance, no drama, then smoothly shift the topic. That's when the seed is planted. Her mind will keep circling back, wondering. And when she does ask what you are going to say, and she will, you better not ruin the moment with some shallow comment about her appearance. Say something real, something that shows you were truly paying attention. "I was going to say, you explain things in such a thoughtful way." Or, "You remind me of someone who's completely at ease with themselves." That's rare. This is what sets you apart. This is where you stop being just another guy and become someone she remembers. Why does it work? Because it's authentic. It breaks the monotony of small talk. It shows depth, presence, awareness. It creates a natural rhythm that draws her in. Don't fake it. Don't push it. Just notice and speak when it's real. Like an old Stoic, you don't need to impress with noise. You impress with stillness, precision, and timing. Remember what Epictetus said. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. Use your words wisely. Let curiosity do the rest. This isn't about playing games. It's about learning how to communicate like a man who understands himself, and in turn, makes others want to understand him. That's the essence of modern Stoicism. That's the power of restraint mixed with insight. Real life advice. Practice this in your everyday conversations with friends, co-workers, even strangers. Pay attention. Leave space. Be intentional. You'll notice people lean in more, not because you're loud, but because your silence speaks volumes. If this resonates with you, or if you've ever used a phrase like this and seen how powerfully it works, drop your story or thoughts in the comments. Men who live with the strength of the blessing of Stoicism grow faster when they learn from each other. Magnetic phrase 2. The secret compliment. Compliment the hidden. Most men get this wrong, and they get it wrong every single day. They think compliments are currency, that if you throw enough your beautiful coins into the fountain of attention, you'll get love or desire in return. But here's a brutal truth. By the time a woman is 25, especially one who is conventionally attractive, she's already immune to flattery. You're hot. You look amazing. Wow, beautiful smile. These are no longer compliments. They are white noise. And in a world filled with digital echo chambers of generic praise, what women crave isn't more noise. It's signal. Something that cuts through the fog. Something that sees them. And that's where the secret compliment comes in. This isn't about seduction. It's about mastery of attention, presence, and the power of precision. Stoic lessons tell us, don't waste words, speak only when it improves upon silence. A compliment should do exactly that. Not flatter her ego, but touch her identity. So what exactly is a secret compliment? It's not about appearance. It's about observation. True observation is rare in today's rushed world. The kind of attention that notices her thoughtfulness, her timing, her quiet leadership, her subtle empathy. That's the kind of attention that changes the emotional temperature in the room. The power lies in its depth. Because when you compliment a woman on something she actually values in herself, you don't just impress her, you see her. And that feeling? It's intoxicating. According to a Princeton study, compliments that focus on skill or identity, like intelligence, empathy, or creativity, create 3 times more attraction than compliments on physical looks. Even more striking, character-based praise is remembered 5 times longer. Think about that. 5 times. That's the difference between being another guy in her inbox, or the man she replays in her mind at 2 a.m. The Stoic man understands this. He doesn't seek shallow victories. He seeks resonance, because that's where true power lives. So how do you use this? First, learn to wait. Don't force the moment. Let it rise naturally. The Stoic life is built on patience and presence, not performance. Watch her. Listen. Then, be specific. Don't say, you're smart. That's lazy. Say, the way you broke that down showed you've thought about it deeply. Or, your take on that topic made me see it differently. That's rare. That level of specificity sends a signal. I see beneath the surface, and being seen, not just looked at, is what builds connection. Real connection. That's how Stoic strength meets emotional intelligence. You don't shout. You observe, you reflect, you deliver a compliment like a calm arrow, sharp, silent, and direct to the center. Let's put this into action. Here are examples that work. You have a real talent for making people feel heard. That's rare. Or, there's something about the way you speak. It's calm but grounded. You hold space for people. Or even, when you shared that story, it showed a lot of self-awareness and bravery. These aren't lines. They're reflections. When delivered with soft eye contact, a slight pause, and zero need for her approval, the impact is quietly powerful. You're not fishing for a reaction. You're building emotional weight. And here's the sequence that unfolds. First, surprise. She thinks, Wait, he noticed that? Then, validation. He sees something in me most people miss. Finally, attraction. But not the kind you see in movies, the kind that's slow-burning, magnetic, and real. Now, if you want to take this to the next level, there's an advanced move. The compliment sandwich. Structure it like this. When you did X, observation, it showed Y, quality or value. That's rare because Z, context. Let's break that down. Example. When you redirected the conversation to include Sarah, it showed incredible emotional awareness. Most people wouldn't have noticed she was left out. That's presence. That's insight. That's Stoic communication. Direct, observant, compassionate. You become the type of man who sees what others miss. And in doing so, you become unforgettable. But beware, there are red flags. If she replies with a flat thanks and moves on, your comment may have lacked depth. If she looks uncomfortable, you may have gone too personal, too fast, dial it back. And if she questions your sincerity, you weren't specific enough. Vague praise smells like strategy, and women can sense manipulation. Don't compliment to get something. Compliment because it's true, and because you've earned the right to say it through your attention. That's the difference between boys chasing validation and men rooted in purpose. That's the difference between flattery and truth, between noise and signal. Here's where Stoic philosophy weaves deeply into this. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look beneath the surface. Let not the slave appearances rule." He wasn't just talking about people, he was talking about life. But when applied to relationships, that same lesson becomes a weapon of attraction. You must learn to see beyond the face, beyond the curves, beyond the Instagram filter, see the integrity, the effort, the thought process, complement those, and you'll become rare in a world drowning in empty praise. Stoic men don't need to be loud, they need to be accurate. In a culture addicted to speed and superficiality, the man who sees with depth becomes a lighthouse. And let's be clear, this doesn't just apply to romantic relationships. This kind of praise works everywhere, at work, with your kids, even with strangers. We live in a world where real acknowledgement is scarce. Most people are starving to be seen for who they are, not what they look like or what they do. So if you want to stand out, be the man who pays attention. Not with thirst, but with presence. You don't need tricks, you need truth. The Stoic life teaches us that real influence starts with discipline, with listening, with controlling your own need to impress and replacing it with the desire to understand. So here's your challenge, and I don't mean this lightly. In your next conversation, pay attention. Listen for something that reveals character. And then offer a compliment that has nothing to do with appearance. Make it about identity, about intention, about effort. You'll be shocked at what happens. Because when you speak to the soul, not the surface, you don't just win her attention. You win her respect. And respect is the root of all real connection. Don't aim for applause. Aim for alignment. Speak like a man who sees clearly. Act like a man who feels deeply. That's the Stoic way. And in a world full of talkers, that makes you magnetic. Phrase 3. The reverse question. The psychological power play. This is not a trick. This is not a gimmick. This is a weapon forged from the fires of psychological dominance, sharpened by modern Stoic principles, and designed to cut through the noise of ordinary conversation. Most men live their lives asking questions to women in the hope of being liked. But what they fail to see, what they refuse to see, is this. The one who asks the questions might lead the conversation, but the one who reverses them, he owns the connection. That man becomes unforgettable. Why? Because he breaks the script. He disrupts the pattern, and in doing so, he hijacks attention, rewires attraction, and forces a deeper level of thought. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the colour of its thoughts." When you flip a question back at her, you force her soul, not just her mind, to engage with you. You must understand the battlefield. Every woman has endured the same dull interrogation. What do you do? Where are you from? What do you like to do for fun? Men clamor to prove themselves. But you flip the frame. You don't prove, you pull. You turn the light back on her and say, "Why do you think I'm single?" What's your guess? I could ask you the same, but I think I already know. Suddenly, she's not evaluating you. She's qualifying herself. That's power. That's positioning. That's psychological mastery. You're not answering. You're inviting. You're teasing. You're making her do the one thing most women rarely do: chase. I had a client, mid-40s, successful, sharp, but his words lacked edge until he learned this technique. First date. She asks, "So why is a guy like you still single?" He smiles, leans in, and with calm precision says, "What's your theory?" Boom. She laughs, blushes, and says, "Maybe you're too picky." He counters, "Interesting? What makes someone too picky in your eyes?" And just like that, the walls drop. The real conversation begins. Not surface-level noise, not robotic Q&A, but connection, depth, curiosity. The game changes. Here's where you sharpen the edge. Add microsignals. The raised eyebrow when you say, "I think I already know." Let your gaze linger, just for a second, on her lips. Give a slow smile. Not forced, not needy, but deliberate, confident. Then deliver the bait and switch. Close, but the real reason is more interesting. Her mind ignites, her eyes lock in, her curiosity spirals. She has to know more. You just flipped the power dynamic without saying more than 10 words. Now, I'll give it to you straight. Most men screw this up. They use it on basic facts like, "Where do you live?" or "What's your job?" Number. That's lazy, that's evasive. This tool is surgical. Use it with precision. And never, I repeat, never, use it without a direction to go next. If she insists on an answer and you fumble, the tension breaks. The magic dies. So stay sharp. Be ready. Be in control. This isn't just game. This is Stoic warfare. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it." That's what this is. You're shaping the interaction, not reacting, dictating. Marcus Aurelius mastered the art of internal control. Now you're mastering the art of external influence. This is the modern Stoic's domain, not silent detachment, but silent dominance. You don't need to impress. You pull, you frame, you guide. Here's the truth no one tells you. Women are not attracted to answers. They're drawn to mystery. They chase tension. They crave the unknown. And when you become the man who doesn't just answer, but makes her wonder, you're no longer a guy she met. You become the experience she can't forget. That's the power of the reverse question. In today's world of swipe-left conversations and shallow small talk, this is your edge. This is your leverage. You are not just another profile. You are the moment that made her think, the moment that stood out, the moment she replayed. And when other men are busy proving, just by asking better, you prove nothing, and yet prove everything. So next time she asks you a personal question, don't answer like the masses. Flip it. Flip it with strength. Flip it with poise. And flip it with the precision of a man who knows his value. That's what makes her lean in. That's what makes her curious. That's what separates the forgettable from the magnetic. Because in a world where everyone talks, you play the game on a deeper level. That's how modern Stoic men win. That's how you win. If this hits home, if you're ready to become the man who no longer chases approval but commands attention, drop a comment below. I am the frame. Like, subscribe, save this post, and start practicing today. Because your next conversation isn't just a chat. It's a power play, and you hold the cards. Phrase 4. The future snapshot, emotional time travel. You want to spark a connection that lingers in her mind long after the conversation ends. Then you must learn the art of emotional time travel, a psychological trigger that's subtle, magnetic, and devastatingly effective when used with the calm precision of a modern Stoic. This isn't about flattery. It's not a gimmick. It's about leading her imagination somewhere real, personal, and inviting. a place where you and her already exist together. You're not just flirting, you're building a world, and she starts to see herself in it. Why does this work? Because the human brain is a storytelling machine. Evolution wired us to constantly imagine the future. It's how we survived, by mentally rehearsing outcomes. What if this animal charges? What if the storm comes early? We project, simulate, and feel emotions as if they were real. Psychologists call this projective identification. When someone paints a vivid scenario, our mind doesn't just observe, it enters that story. We emotionally bond to the vision, especially when we're part of it. That's what you're doing here. Inviting her into a mental movie where the two of you are already a duo. Not serious, not pressured, but real enough to spark curiosity and desire. Here's how it sounds in action. Light, casual, offhand, yet powerful. You'd be the type to insist on planning the playlist for our road trip, argue about it, then secretly love my picks. If we ever started a debate club, I already know you'd take it way too seriously. You'd definitely be the one dragging us to that weird art exhibit at 11 a.m. on a Saturday. These lines work because they're not about seduction. They're about co-creation, a shared future. And you're planting that vision like a seed. No pressure, no expectation, just possibility. And that's the secret. The strongest connections aren't forced, they're invited. Let's break it down. These phrases ignite playful rapport. You're teasing, not pleasing. You're not trying to win her over. You're saying, this is the world I live in. You'd fit here. That kind of confidence, calm, centered, amused, is rare. It's what women find irresistible, because it signals strength, not need. It also frames you and her as a team, a subtle alliance. You're not saying, I want you. You're saying, we'd make a hilarious pair. And that shifts the dynamic entirely. Now, you're not pursuing. You're co-creating. And lastly, it triggers emotional visualization. Her brain fills in the gaps. She starts to see it. The car, the music, the banter. And suddenly, you're not a stranger. You're familiar, safe, but intriguing. And here's what separates the amateurs from the magnetic. You must keep it playful. That's non-negotiable. If you come off needy or calculated, the whole thing crumbles. This isn't about forecasting weddings or planning kids. That's heavy. That's pressure. The Stoic man knows better. He doesn't cling to outcomes. He enjoys the moment. He dances on the edge of connection without falling in. That's what keeps the mystery alive. Think of it like this. You're not selling the future. You're inviting her to glimpse it. That's the difference. One feels desperate. The other feels charismatic. When you speak from a place of abundance, not lack, she feels it. You're not trying to get something from her. You're offering a story and letting her step into it on her own terms. Now let's tie this to the wisdom of the Stoic life. Seneca once wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality," and he was right. Our minds create disasters that never happen. But the opposite is also true. We can connect more in imagination than in reality if we know how to guide the vision. This is your power, to lead her, not through seduction or persuasion, but through imagination. The Stoic man is not needy. He does not demand affection. He simply embodies a life so interesting, so centered, that others want to step into it. And this future snapshot is how you let her in. This is not manipulation. It's storytelling. Done with integrity, it's one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. And it requires practice. So don't wait until you're in the moment. Train this like a muscle. Think about playful futures you can reference on the fly. Observe her personality. Is she artsy, competitive, introverted? Tailor your scenarios to reflect her essence, but don't compliment her directly. Instead, reflect her back to herself in a world where you're part of the frame. That's what magnetism looks like. Not needing her approval, but seeing her clearly and showing her that vision without flinching. Let's ground this in real life. Say you're on a walk with her after coffee. You're laughing, trading stories. You glance at a bookstore window and say, "You'd totally be the one dragging me into that obscure poetry section and then pretending you don't love that I'm nerding out over old philosophy books." She laughs. Why? because it's light, specific, playful, but it also subtly says, I see you. You're quirky, and I'd enjoy that with you. That's powerful. That's Stoic attraction, not flashy, not desperate, just grounded, clear, and undeniably warm. And here's your advantage as a man in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, or even 70s. You have experience, perspective, depth. You've lived, you've failed, you've risen. Use that. The Stoic life isn't about hiding emotion. It's about mastering it. Your calm presence, your ability to laugh at chaos, your confidence without aggression, that's your magnetic field. And this technique, it amplifies that energy tenfold, because it allows her to see you with her without any risk, no ask, just invitation. You must remember this. Women are emotional time travelers by nature. They feel their way into the future. That's why this method works so well. You're giving her a taste, a possibility, a door half open. And if you say it with ease, if you laugh with her rather than try to impress her, she won't just hear your words, she'll feel the connection. So practice this. Pick one playful future scenario and use it this week. Don't script it. Don't recite it like a pickup artist. Just feel into the moment. Watch her body language, feel the rhythm, and when it's right, drop the line like a casual inside joke. Then let it go. That's the key. The Stoic doesn't cling. He offers, then moves on. And in that space of non-neediness, she leans in, curious, interested, drawn to the calm, grounded man who made her feel something real with just a few well-placed words. That's the art. That's the game. Not chasing, not pleading, but inviting. Imagine the future. Say it with a smile, then return to the present like a man who knows his worth, because that's who you are. The man who doesn't beg for connection, but creates it through presence, vision, and play. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what makes her remember you. And that is the Stoic way. Phrase 5. The identity mirror, reflect her back. This is one of the most powerful verbal weapons you can carry, the identity mirror. It's not flashy, it's not loud, but it's lethal, designed to strike deep into one of the most primal human needs, the need to be seen. Let's be clear. Real men don't flatter. They don't rush to spit out sweet nothings. They select their words like a master craftsman chooses a blade, each phrase meant to carve itself deep into the listener's mind. And in that arsenal, the identity mirror is the sharpest spear. It pierces straight through emotional armor, and it hits where it matters most, the core of identity. Here's the hard truth. Women aren't drawn to the loudest guy in the room. They're drawn to the man who makes them feel seen, understood, and validated. She tells you a story about caring for her sick mother. Most guys nod politely, say, "That's sweet," and move on. But not you. You stop. You lock eyes. And you say, "That says a lot about the kind of person you are. Most people wouldn't do that." That's not a compliment. That's an affirmation of character. That's not surface-level admiration. That's soul-level recognition. It hits harder than beauty, louder than charm. It plants you in her memory, not as another guy, but as the man who truly saw her. You need to remember this. Identity is the seat of emotion. When you reflect someone's identity back to them, not in a fake way, but in a clear, confident, precise way, you light up the part of their brain responsible for self-concept. Neuroscience proves this. The medial prefrontal cortex lights up when people feel seen. That feeling is validation, and that moment, it becomes unforgettable. You're not just a conversation, you're a mental imprint. Here's how to weaponize it. Use these lines with surgical precision. That's such a courageous move. Only someone with real backbone would do that. You're the kind of woman who doesn't just follow the crowd. You think for yourself. That reaction? That's the sign of someone with true values. It's rare. Delivery matters. Soft tone. Micro pause before and after. Direct eye contact. No performance. No overacting. Say it like you mean it. Own your presence. Make her feel like you're looking past the social mask and speaking to her real self. This is not about charm. This is about impact. You are not playing the game. You are defining it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoics who ever lived, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Don't talk about being perceptive. Don't show off emotional intelligence. Prove it through action." And the most powerful action in a conversation is deep listening, followed by intentional reflection. Epictetus, another titan of Stoic wisdom, said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we can listen twice as much as we speak." That's not just a cute quote. It's a command. In a world drowning in noise, the man who listens becomes the man of power. He stands out. He draws people in. He doesn't need to chase attention. Attention follows him. And let's get something straight. This technique isn't about manipulation. This is not a script. This is about training your perception, honing your intuition, and mastering the psychology of connection. Women, especially high-value women, are bombarded with empty compliments, shallow conversation, and men who fake depth. The man who sees through the noise. He becomes unforgettable. He becomes rare. He becomes necessary. Use this principle not just in dating, but in leadership, business, life. People follow those who reflect their best selves. People trust those who understand them. It's not about saying much. It's about saying what matters. And that's Stoic. That's powerful. That's unstoppable. In modern life, where everyone's too distracted to truly connect, you become a weapon of presence. You become the one who listens when no one else does. You say the one thing that sticks when everyone else is trying too hard. That's how you dominate the room without raising your voice. That's how you attract not just interest, but devotion. The man who uses the identity mirror doesn't chase validation, he gives it. And in doing so, he receives something far greater: respect, admiration, loyalty. This is how kings speak, how warriors forge bonds, how leaders influence without force. You have to own this. Don't just understand it. Live it. Practice it. Perfect it. Every conversation is an opportunity to sharpen the skill. When she opens up, reflect her. When she shows strength, name it. When she reveals depth, validate it. The more you reflect truth, the more magnetic you become. Not needy, not overeager. Magnetic, grounded, stoic. Marcus Aurelius would approve. Don't forget, if you're not using this, someone else is. And while you're fumbling with surface-level charm, he's building emotional gravity. While you're memorizing pickup lines, he's imprinting his presence in her soul. That's the game you're in. Whether you play it or not, it's being played. So decide right now, will you be the noise or the signal? Comment below. I will reflect her true identity. If you're ready to use this power to master every conversation and become the man people remember long after you've left the room. Like, share, and subscribe if you want more of these real-world, psychology-backed tools drawn from Marcus Aurelius, Stoic principles, neuroscience, and the unfiltered experience of high-performance men. You're not just learning how to attract women. You're learning how to influence, how to connect, how to lead. This is the language of power. This is the psychology of depth. This is the path of the man who dominates quietly and leaves echoes in every room he enters. Own it, reflect it, rule with it. Final thoughts. Gentlemen, what you've just learned are not tricks. These are powerful reframes of how attraction works. These phrases succeed because they come from calm confidence, not desperation. They're not about manipulation. They're about expressing your best self in ways that draw people in. But knowledge without action? That's just entertainment. Your challenge this week. Pick one technique, unfinished thought, secret compliment, or reverse question, and try it. Notice how women respond when you stop chasing approval and start creating intrigue. I want to hear from you. Which phrase resonated with you most? Where will you test it first? What was your biggest aha moment? Drop a comment below. I read every one and will personally respond to the most insightful. For those ready to go deeper, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Next week, we'll break down the 2-second eye trick used by charismatic men through history. And remember, this isn't about collecting lines. It's about becoming a man who naturally attracts through confidence, awareness, and authenticity. I'm John from Stoic Focus. The road ahead, building lasting charisma. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of 90% of men who consume advice but never implement it. What separates those who succeed socially, whether in dating, career, or friendships, is consistent, intentional practice of subtle but powerful skills. These 3 phrases, the curiosity trigger, the secret compliment, and the reverse question, are just the beginning. When mastered, they not only ignite attraction, but they also help you develop presence, the ability to stay grounded and fully engaged; perception, the rare skill of reading the room and noticing the unspoken emotional fluency; knowing when and how to shift the energy in a conversation; and more importantly, they teach you how to listen differently, not just to respond, but to actually understand. A warning on authenticity. Let me be very clear. This only works if you are real. Don't use these phrases as manipulation tools. Don't fake depth or pretend to notice things just for the effect. People, especially women, can sense inauthenticity in seconds. Instead, practice becoming the kind of man who notices, who pays attention, who values quality over flash. That's what Stoic Focus is all about. The men who thrive in every area of life aren't the ones with the most lines memorized. They're the ones who cultivate character, curiosity, and confidence. What's next? If you're serious about becoming this kind of man, here's what I recommend. Journal your interactions. Write down what worked, what didn't, and what surprised you. Practice in low-stakes environments. Use these phrases not just in dating, but in daily conversations. Rewatch or revisit this lesson often. Mastery isn't about information. It's about repetition. Coming up next, I'll be breaking down the 2-second eye trick, a body language move that creates instant intensity; the 1-sentence story, hook, how to make even a 10-second anecdote unforgettable; the disqualification frame, how to spark playful challenge and avoid the try-hard trap. So stay tuned. Hit subscribe. And if this helped you, share it with a friend who could use a reboot in how they connect with women. Final words from Stoic philosophy. As Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's the core of everything we teach here. These techniques are not about impressing women. They're about becoming someone you're proud to be and letting that draw the right people to you. Be bold, be aware, be authentic. This is John from Stoic Focus. I'll see you in the next video. And that's a wrap. Remember what Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one." That's not just ancient wisdom, it's timeless truth. These phrases and techniques, they're not tricks, they're tools to help you become more grounded, more confident, and more you. So here's my advice. Don't chase approval. Instead, focus on becoming someone you genuinely respect. The right people will naturally be drawn to that. Be bold, be aware, be authentic. This is John from Stoic Focus. Stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.